What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Horror Heads podcast. I am Rich Mallery here with my co-host Jerry Lourenco.
The fuck's going on, Rich?
Dude, it's just about to be Thanksgiving. It's
Woo.
two days from Turkey Day. I'm not a huge fan of Thanksgiving foods. I don't really like turkey or any of that stuff, but it's a good excuse to pour some bourbon and watch some horror movies. So tonight we're going to talk about The Conjuring. We're going to talk specifically about films one and four, but I'm sure we're going to get into the universe as well. You can follow us on Instagram at Horrorheads Podcast or email us your love and hate to horrorheadspodcast at gmail.com. Yeah, that's about it. So we haven't talked in a little bit. I know you and I have both watched some new movies recently. Actually, I figured we would chat about those before we kind of
Oh,
get into Conjuring. So yeah, so you watched the movie Bone Lake, which I've been saying for the past week every night. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch this movie, and then I end up like just taking an edible and not watching it. So I know you really dug it though. So tell us about Bone
oh,
Lake.
man. I'm saying it right now. I'm calling it, man. Bone Lake, film of 2025. I'm
Shit,
loving it.
bold.
I already watched it twice. It holds up. I mean, it's everything. It's a psychological film. It's a drama. It's a horror. Um, there are some things that happen in this movie that you never ever seen before happen in a movie. Just some like fucked up, gross shit. Right in the beginning too. So if anyone's seen this movie, they know exactly the scene I'm talking about. There's a cold open, and
Oh
there's
shit.
just some like fucked up shit that happens. I'm not gonna get into it. For me, as little as you know about this film, probably the better it is because there are a lot of twists and turns, and it's just crazy. I would say, it really involves around like these two couples. One couple is like this really hot kind of flirty couple, another couple is like this like reserved kind of very pensive couple, and they accidentally both end up staying at this Airbnb for the weekend because they both rented it at the same time. Obviously, the only conclusion you could come to is that one couple wouldn't leave. They both obviously have to stay with a bunch of strangers because that makes perfect sense. So, if you could get past the premise that this would actually happen, but I would also like to say they were really, really good looking people. So, I'm sure that helped them out quite a bit. But yeah, there's a lot of moments where you're like, what the fuck? There's a lot of moments where you're like, there's no rules. There's like anything could go. A lot of manipulation, social engineering. I mean, it literally has everything. And then the most important thing, it gets really gory. So, I'm gonna leave it as that. I think it's a good movie. It's a fun movie. You could watch it in many different ways. You could look at it as like a dark comedy. You could look at it as a drama, a mystery, or just a straight up horror film. I'm gonna say by the end of it, I was like, this film, and this is like really like the last act. I'm like, this film kind of reminds me a lot of like Martyrs or
Mm,
Them.
okay.
Yeah, like it just has like that, or maybe like hot tension. Like it just ends on such like this, like, oh, and you're just like, man, that was fucked up. So that's all I'm gonna say about it. I really think you should watch it.
I
I'm
mean, you just
curious
mentioned
what
three
you
of my
would
favorite
think.
films right there. So if it's anything
Uh,
anything reminiscent of those three, High Tension, Martyrs, or Them, I am. And them we mean Ills, the French film, not the
yup,
West. I think it was
yeah.
Wes Craven did a
No,
movie called
no,
Them.
ills. Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely ills. The director is Mercedes Bryce Morgan, who did that Spoonful of Sugar film, which is kind of sexy. It's definitely a kind of a sexy film, and this is kind of sexy too. Um, I wouldn't say it's a sexy film, but I mean, it alludes to a lot. But there's good stuff in there. I mean, I think there's something in this film for everyone. I like it. Has the stupidest fucking name in the world. If you named it like anything, Diamond Lake, it would have been a better name. It
I
just
know
sounds
Bone Lake.
like it just
I'm
sounds
already kind of
stupid.
like I don't know.
It's a stupid name. I don't want to say my favorite film of 2025 is Bone Lake. I just don't want to say it. But I'm gonna say that it is. I just wish it had a different name because I feel like and there you go, man. The title could ruin like a film for you. I bet a lot of people aren't watching this film because of the stupid name. You know?
I skipped it. I came across it and I was like, yeah, this sounds like a hard pass for me.
Yeah, I liked it. I totally recommend it. I'm giving this one five bloody knives. I
Okay,
like it.
wow,
I
damn.
like it a lot. I'm gonna keep watching it to the end of the year. It's a part of the rotation. So as soon as you can, get on it, man.
Oh, you know what we should do for next episode? We should just prep this and just like have like our top like three
Oh,
films of 2025 because I'm just trying to
I'm
think of
in.
what and but they have to have been released in 2025. So let's like do some homework. I can't even think of what my top three would be, so it's gonna take a little bit of work. So it's been rainy here. It's finally nice today, but it's been rainy. So I went to movies the other day, and there's really nothing out. So I went to go see the new Osgood Perkins film Keeper, which
Mm.
I told you about. Went in cold, knew nothing about it other than it's a horror movie. Like it's either see that or I don't even know, like Wicked. Like I don't know what else is playing, so I
You go
chose
see the
that.
Osgood Perkins.
Yeah, yeah. I went to go see that, and I will say it's very artistic. It's folk horror, very slow burn. It's there's they do a decent job of like creating suspense throughout. You're really trying to figure out like what the hell's going on, and you kind of think you know how it's gonna end, but you really like honestly have no idea what's happening until like the last 10 minutes when the main character explains everything to you, which was
Oh.
really annoying. Like it's just, one of those scenes where it's like a comic book where like the villain just sits and he's just like, okay, here's everything that's going on. And you're just like, oh. And then once he explained it, like the whole movie, I'm like, you know what? If this has like a killer ending, I'm in. Cause like I'm kind of like it's slow, but it's kind of creepy. I'm like, this has to really seal the deal and close right. And if it does, I'm gonna highly recommend this movie because I'm kind of into it. I'm intrigued. Man, they did not stick the landing. It was like one of those endings where it's like, okay, kind of that's what I figured, but also like kind of not. So, but it was kind of really confusing. And then when you start like picking apart the movie, like, well, what about that thing that happened? Or like, what about that? It kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. So, yeah, they really did not stick the landing. And one thing I will say about this movie, if I think it's neon. It feels like very A24, but like
Okay.
neon's kind of starting to feel like that too. And I'm not just seeing this in horror, but I'm seeing this in a lot of like newer, like art house, like a highbrow, those kind of movies where they do this thing where like three-quarters of the frame is like blocked. Like the character will be like all the way here in the corner, and then you're looking at like a wall for like the rest
Oh,
of the frame. And that annoys me. And I see this in like a lot of movies. And for me, I'm like, if I'm watching a movie in a theater, I want to see this full
I
screen
want to see it
full of
framed
stuff.
out. Yeah, for sure.
I don't just want to see like, someone's elbow and like a wall for most of the scene. And a lot of the movie, not the whole movie, but there's a lot of scenes like that where I'm just like, that's an interesting choice. And I'm starting to think, like, I don't know if it's people think that's artistic or they just don't know any better. Because I've been watching a lot of movies, and again, not even just horror movies. Like I watched, not horror, but I watched that movie, The Smashing Machine with The Rock.
Oh, I was gonna watch that.
I mean, I hated it. I thought it was really
Oh,
boring and didn't really
damn.
go anywhere. But like a lot of the movie, it just looks ugly. And there's like a lot of
Oh,
stuff where like, they're in the ring fighting and you see the ring ropes, but the camera's really close up. So like I would say almost half your screen is like the ropes. And you kind of just see the people, and I'm just like, who thought this looked good? Like, I get they're probably like, oh, it's just like you're just there, but it just to me it looks like bad. And I'm like, there's so many shots in a lot of these movies where I'm just like, that seems like a fuck up. And that's how I felt about Keeper. I don't know. It's a pass for me. Like maybe some people might enjoy it because it's, whatever, but it's basically three characters the whole movie, maybe four. So simple, but yeah, it wasn't really worth it. Definitely wasn't worth the $20 I spent to go see it.
man. Yeah, maybe I'll check it out. I mean, I like a good folk horror. I don't mind the slow burn, but yeah, that
I
sounds
don't
a
either, but it's got to
little
like go somewhere,
annoying.
you know?
Yeah, it's gotta be a payoff, and I'm not into those artistic shots. I like things framed perfectly, like
Yeah, I want to see
centered, and
everything.
like yeah,
Yeah.
like I just maybe I'm not that artistic, but I just feel like I want to see like perfectly clear, shots, with every single thing that's supposed to be included in it. I don't want to be like Oh, I think I see it over there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. I don't get it. I don't get it. But it seems
yeah,
like a trend.
like,
It's a
I'm like,
trend.
what is that?
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, that's annoying. Can you move that out of the way? Like,
yeah.
yeah, that's annoying. Oh man. All
Like you
right.
could have done
Well,
anything you want. You're in a set. You could
yeah,
control it. Like you could
that's a
put the camera
bummer.
wherever. Yeah. So I'd pass on Keeper. I'd give it like I don't know, like a 1.5. Bloody
Man, that's
knife. Like
that's not a
wasn't worth it.
five.
Not a 5. So I'm probably at some point maybe gonna lose my voice because I'm just getting over something. Before I do that, let's get into some drinking and maybe that will help
Oh.
my throat. We'll see. So I am not a surprise. I'm drinking the Tully again tonight because the nickel bottles and it's out. It's in the decanter now.
Oh,
Because
oh.
I'm trying to make space. So trust me, it's Tully in the decanter. Like the cheap shit goes in the decanter. So I'm gonna pour that. I
Good
wasn't
old
had before.
Tully.
What do you got?
I brought back the Suntory that I
Oh
had a
shit.
couple months ago. Yeah, I had it a couple months ago, I think over the summer. I'm just trying to get through some bottles that are half empty, three-quarters empty to make some room for 2026 and some new bottles.
Yeah, you get a lot of
Uh,
Christmas bourbon.
I do. This is the Suntory AO. I mentioned it last time. It's a mixture of five different types of whiskey: Irish, Scottish, American, Canadian, Japanese. It's 80 proof. I don't remember what it tastes like. So when I take this sip, it's going to be a revelation because it was probably been 3 months since I had it.
Oh shit. All right. Well, let's cheers to
Yeah.
that. I've been drinking
Cheers.
the Tully. Has it's been less than 3 months since I've had it. Oh, I can't wait to get
Man.
done with this bottle. Yeah, there's a reason I put this in a decanter. No, look, I said it last episode. The Tully, it's fine. It's an Irish whiskey, so you do have a lot of that caramel sweetness, but it hits hard. Like it's very alcohol forward, and it's like drinking sweet gasoline.
Sweet gasoline. Yeah, and I'm going to stick with my impression that I had a couple months ago. This is very grassy, very earthy, very kind of like moss tasting. It's good. It's easy to drink, only 80 proof. It's pretty smooth. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. If someone gave it to me, I would absolutely drink it, but I'm not going to go out and buy this. Once I get through this bottle, unless another one shows up, that will be it for me.
You never know. Listeners, that means send him some Ten Centauri XO.
If Suntory wants to send me like, their line, maybe just this one didn't sit right. And, if they want to send me a nice gift pack with like 12 or 13 different types of bourbon, I'll gladly check those out and review them exclusively on this podcast.
There you go. You heard it. Those you want your product marketed to tens of hundreds of thousands of listeners. You want the horror heads to talk about it. And
That's
speaking of that, we may be on the lookout for a new opening theme song. So if anyone has any musical talent whatsoever and wants to give us the rights to a song to use, please send that to horrorheadspodcast at gmail.com. All right, so we're going to talk about The Conjuring. We're going to talk about Conjuring 1 and 4
Mm.
specifically. I'm sure we'll talk about the 2 and 3 as we kind of go through the conversation. We've actually never really talked about this franchise. We did briefly talk about part 4 when we both saw it in the theater. So I'm excited to kind of get into that. Before we do that, quick drinking game for you.
What
Yeah, just a quick one.
the hell's going on
Yeah.
here?
Okay, so there are 4 films in the Conjuring franchise. We'll get into the universe in a second. 4 films in the Conjuring franchise chronologically, which is the first one.
Chronologically, which is the first one? So I'm gonna go with that one's there. That one's there. It goes there. Is it fourth one?
That is incorrect. The
Oh,
first. You mean the
damn.
first one? No,
No, number four.
you're saying number 4 is the first one, like chronologically.
Yes.
They're old. They're old as fuck. No, chronologically, the first film is the first one, actually.
Oh, the first one. Oh,
Yeah.
well, you know what? I think I was a little confused. This one starts in the 60s
Yeah, I think they all kind of do. Okay, so the
and they're
first film,
pregnant.
yeah,
Yeah.
they actually do go chronologically in order: one, two,
Oh,
three, four.
okay. All right. So
Okay,
what do I owe here?
just one sip on that one. And then for an additional two sips, there are 10 films in the Conjuring universe if you count La Llorona, which some people do, some people don't.
Yeah.
Out of those 10 films, and those films include The Nun, the Annabelle films, and Conjuring, chronologically, which is the first one?
Out of all of them, is it Annabelle?
The first Annabelle?
Yes.
No, the first one would be The Nun is actually the first one chronologically.
The Nun. Damn
It
it.
goes The Nun 2, Annabelle Creation,
Mm,
and then I think Annabelle, or I don't remember after that. But that's kind of how it goes. So that's so
yeah.
we're starting off good, showing
I'm
that
not
you know nothing about The
I'm
Conjuring.
not really warm on this universe at all. Just, FYI. Definitely warm on The Conjuring at the moment, but as far as the universe, yeah, I haven't checked out any of them in a minute, especially The Nun. Um
I'm not a fan of the two Nun films. I think they're just really
yeah.
boring and lame. I'm not a fan of this franchise or universe, to be honest with you. Like, and we'll get into it a little bit. I do like the first Conjuring. I don't really like the first Annabelle, but I'll watch it.
Hmm.
And then other than that, I kind of do without. So let's get into the Conjuring
Yeah.
then. This came out in 2003, kicked off a 10 film universe, one of the most successful franchises of all time. You look at the box office and the plot of it. Really simple, based on a quote unquote true story. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren work to help a family terrorized by a dark presence in their farmhouse. So basically, what happens is a a family, Roger, Carolyn, and I believe they have four kids. I believe they have four daughters. I
Quite
might
a
be wrong.
few. One, two, three, four, five kids.
Five kids. Every one of these Conjuring films, these people have
Way too many
way too many kids,
characters. Yeah.
which becomes
I mean,
problematic because
characters and kids. Yeah.
I can't tell them apart. And like, there's five kids, and each one could be interchangeable, which is kind of a bummer. I get they want to be true to the story, but it does kind of take you out of it where you're like, I don't really give a shit because I don't know them. But anyway, this family of seven moves into this farmhouse that is haunted. At some point, they learn it's from a demon who is trying to possess the mother to kill one of the children. They
Mm.
enlist the help of Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are proclaimed demonologists, to come check out the situation and get rid of the demon. So that's kind of the plot of it. It's, kind of combination of like Poltergeist and like the Changeling and maybe some other, maybe with some exorcism stuff thrown in there. I would say the last 30 minutes of the movie is basically an exorcism scene. It's and kind of how all of these movies go. So here's my take on the Conjuring movies in general. And each one is very similar. I would say the first hour is half of it is telling like a story about Ed and Lorraine Warren that's kind of like a drama. Half of it is the family and the house, which is really interesting because that's where all the spooky shit happens. Then there's like 30 minutes of Ed and Lorraine coming to the house and dealing with some shit. Then the last 30 minutes is like action packed of just a bunch
Big
of shit
fight. Yeah.
happening. Big fight, like kind of just a bunch of it gets really loud. The last 30 minutes of each one of these movies is a lot of yelling and a lot of things breaking and loud music and stuff like that. But I will say that this film, they do a really good job of kind of setting up the tension. When it came out, it felt very unique, but also very comforting at the same time because it took a lot of influences from 70s and 80s horror movies, which are very apparent in this. The scares are really good. It's really creepy. It does a good job of kind of setting up these Ed and Lorraine Warren characters. I think the actors are really good in this. The movie kind of cold opens, basically telling the story of Annabelle, which became really famous. It's a possessed doll, and I think they did a really good job of kind of starting it off where you're like, what the fuck am I gonna watch? This looks creepy. I'm in. So what are your thoughts on Conjuring kind of revisiting it after 20 plus years?
Yeah, definitely like The Conjuring. Again, yeah, when this came out, I mean, yeah, there was really nothing modern at the time, outside of Poltergeist, Amityville, Changeling, all the things that you mentioned. So this was like a really good attempt at, like, say, the haunted house or some sort of like paranormal activity, however you want to classify this. The film, it looks old. It looks like a 70s or 80s film. So it did a great job on that. And I think really, I mean, the acting is superb in this film. Like literally everyone they cast is really, really good at what they do. It's very believable. And I think that really adds to the authenticity of kind of like based on a true story. I really like how they intertwine like real things into like, the fictional kind of story. I think they do a good job at that and it makes it believable. And I think what this film, especially this one, the first one does, it's really good. There are a lot of children in this film, and they're basically being, tortured by these ghosts, and it's scary because first you start thinking yourself as, man, if I was that old and I was a kid, like this would be terrifying. This is awful. And you're like, man, these spirits are really just like relentless against these kids. But then it like kind of moves into the parents. And then you're like, everybody's fucked in this film. And they tap into everything that makes you cringe, everything that gives you goosebumps. Like laying in your bed is like, someone behind that door over there. I think I see something, or something under my bed, like those things that you always kind of think about, like when you're alone and you hear weird noises and you're in the dark, and they really tap into that. And I think they do a great job at that, especially in this film. Um, Really, really good job at that. So I do like it. I think it tells a great story. And I think it kind of moves from like that one story to the next fairly well. Just kind of like how you said, like you get the background of Ed and Lorraine. It moves into like all the, paranormal activity happening into the house. And then it goes into the investigation and then the final fight. I just think it's a good transition the way they do everything. Of course, I have to say, I would be ridiculous if I didn't say this. I wish they did it all faster, you know.
Yeah.
But outside of that, great job. I mean, I like this film.
Yeah, and I think what they do different in the Conjuring films, and again, and not like they haven't done this before, but I would say the main focus in like a haunted house movie is usually the family in the haunted house. It's usually the main focus. I would say in these movies, the main focus is kind of Ed and Lorraine Warren and kind of like where they're at in their life and what they're going through. And then, the family is kind of like a side story almost. Like it's kind of about them, which is a little different. It like is really focusing on your protagonists who are like just called in to kind of do this thing. Like most movies, again, it starts off, the house gradually becomes more and more haunted until the people can't take it anymore. Then they call somebody to come help. And this one, and a little bit to a fault, I would say, and we'll get to this a little bit later, is because the first hour is split amongst Ed and Lorraine's kind of story and the haunted house story, things like escalate pretty fast.
Oh yeah, for
Like
sure.
which
Yeah.
again does help the time move, but usually it's like you watch a haunted house movie, something really simple and small happens, then like the next day gets a little bigger and then bigger and bigger. And in these, it kind of doesn't really have that build up because again, they're telling two different stories in these movies. But I think that does help why these become so popular is because non-horror fans or like super horror fans can kind of get into these Ed and Lorraine characters. Like they're family people and they're trying really hard and like they're dealing, they have their own daughter at home who's like getting fucked with by these demons. Like and you see as the movies go on the physical and mental toll it takes on Ed and Lorraine. So I think they did a really good job of telling these kind of real life characters who half the country thinks they're charlatans and half the people believe them. So it had to have been like a kind of a tough gig for them. I do think in this movie, again the haunted house stuff is really good. Like you do feel the fear that the little kids fear. That like again that like first kind of scene where you really kind of see it when they're in the bedroom and like there's like the thing like on top of the
Oh
closet and
God. Whew.
yeah and
Oh,
they
that's terrifying. Even though
yeah.
you know it's coming, it's scary every single time because it's just, the camera work, the cut, the lighting, so effective that I know it. I know it's coming and it's a jump scare every fucking time.
Yeah.
And you're like, how is this working on me? I know it's gonna happen. Yeah. I mean, that's a great example of like what they do, and it's like you're absolutely right. Once the PA starts, it goes to like 100. You know, it just keeps moving and going faster and faster. Like, wow, this is crazy. Like, who's gonna be innocent? Who's gonna be okay? And it just keeps getting worse for every single person in the family. And then, there's always like the dad, the voice of reason. He's like, kids, you're just over exaggerating. Then some fucked up shit happens to him. He's like, all right, I get it. He's like, we need to do something now. It's and I think that's really what this film does well. It just kind of breaks down everything, and you feel like there's not like that one hater character to be like, it's all bullshit. Nah. It's like every single person is terrified for their life and they don't know how to handle it. And the only thing they could do is go to these strangers and hope that they could help them. And I think that's a good story to tell, because it is really based on like real life events. And think about the situation you would have to be in where I mean, you couldn't like email someone back then.
Yeah.
You got to get in your damn car and drive, if you didn't have a number and go talk to these people and hope that they would help you. I thought, I think it's a good story. It is, and there are a lot of great jump scares. There's a lot of really just kind of creepy moments, and it's just so effective. It's like if they do it wrong, everything looks like silly. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's not done right, everything's silly. Like, oh, that looks dumb. Too much CGI, too much, of a clear ghost. Like it's such a fine line that you have to walk to make it kind of scary. And I think honestly, I think they did that in this one.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's something they kind of fail in the later sequels. In this one,
Yeah.
again, it's kind of almost like more basic. It feels like a little lower budget, and not like in a bad way. It just means that like they kind of kept it practical. Like it's very dark and shadowy. They didn't try to do too much with it, like with the ghosts and the demons and stuff like that. In the future ones like two, three, four, there's a lot of questionable CGI where things just look
Yeah.
silly. In the second one, there's like this crooked man character that completely takes you out of the movie. The second one, I would say the first hour is really good. It starts off really creepy and scary, and then they like introduce a bunch of shit that looks terrible, and it kind of just goes off the rails. This one's like simple. It's pretty like like contained, and I feel like they did a really good job with that. I think the score is really good,
Oh yeah.
and how they use the score is really good. And there's a lot of times where there's no music at all, and it's really creepy. But then when that kind of it's Joseph Bishara is like the composer, and he did like a bunch of movies like Insidious, and he's got a very specific style. And it really works for these kind of movies. I think the camera work is really good. There's so much happening. There's like these long tracking shots. There's like a lot of just pans. There's shots that follow them around the house. There's like some handheld stuff. There's all kinds of like different things that keep it really interesting where you don't, again, it keeps you on your toes because you're not really sure what's going to happen because there's all these different artistic things happening that like most people aren't going to notice, but like it keeps you engaged, keeps you kind of like locked in. And I think again for everybody the stakes are really high. Like the family, the stakes are high. They can't move because they're broke and they put all their money into this house. The Warrens, like they once they're involved, now this thing wants after their family, like, and they have to like stop it to protect their own daughter and their own life. So I think they do a really good job of it's like some of these movies again the priest kind of comes in to save the day and he's always like kind of troubled but like not completely connected to this, and this like everybody's kind of intertwined, which I thought was really good. And while again that last 30 minutes is again action packed, ton of stuff happening, on the rewatch a lot of times I kind of like check out
Fatigue.
because
Yeah.
I get fatigued by it, but like in this one I feel like they did a really good job. And I think what helps is they bring in a lot of different characters. Like you got the Warrens, you got the family. They bring in like this young like assistant who's like kind of like the tech guy. They
Oh,
also
Drew.
have
Yeah.
they have this like police officer who's there just to kind of like witness everything. And I think it cuts between all of these different things and keeps it interesting versus just like four people in a room and a bunch of shit flying around, which is kind of what happens in some of like the later movies. But I feel like this one by far to me superior than the others without a doubt.
Yeah, you really never know who's going to be like the focus of the film at that moment, who's going to be the star of the film. It could literally be anyone from like, this the littlest girl to like, the B or C characters like, Officer Brad and stuff like that. I think like everyone kind of has their own individual stories and that makes everyone kind of interesting and you're just like, "Oh, this is cool." You got like that one girl that like sleepwalks. You got that little girl, April, who's talking about Rory, her invisible friend, which was probably the most terrifying story I could imagine a little kid telling me. I have visions of like a 6-year old coming up to me with their music box and going, "My friend's in here," and you could see them in the mirror. What the fuck did you just say?
That's why I'm
No,
never having kids.
absolute
Yeah.
no, no. Wait, behind me? Like where? Where is this? like, like I'm not playing this game, kid. But like everyone kind of tells a story and everyone kind of gets involved um, with it. So you never know who is going to be the focus of the film. And yeah, that definitely keeps a lot of like the earlier parts of the film moving and entertaining. And I definitely want to say like if this if this film, if you're watching it and you hit that mood, you're sitting there, you're locked in, um, you're just like kind of like not distracted, I guess. Uh, it's scary, but I feel like if you are a little bit disconnected and you're like kind of bouncing in and out of the scenes and stuff like that, it really falls apart. Even though like you're like, oh, I know this scene's gonna come up, it doesn't have the same effect. It's like you have to kind of live each moment of this film to get to the next moment in order to be what I think is scary. I mean, I've watched this I don't even know how many times, 100 times. When I'm paying attention, it still scares me.
Yeah.
When I'm not, I'm just like, it's kind of cheesy. Why'd they do that? Why'd they do this? You know?
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. It's one of those where you do have to set the tone. You have to like put your phone away, turn the lights out, watch it,
Yeah,
get
yeah.
locked in. If you're just because I did that on this watch, right? Like I noticed myself going to my phone, not paying attention because I've seen it. I know it's gonna
Hmm.
happen. And then being like not liking it. So I had to rewatch it again. I was like, you know what? Like I know I like this movie. I'm not going to go in and be like, I hate this movie now because like I wasn't paying attention to it. And then I watched it like straight through at night and I'm like, okay, I get it now. Like now I know why I liked it because it does set a move. One thing does kind of build off of the next. And that's kind of how a lot of these haunted house movies are. They escalate usually, right? And they kind of like, they have a very specific kind of path they follow. Um, and I think this one you do have to be kind of watching it to the end. And also, I think because there are a lot of characters in this family, it's very easy to lose track of who's doing what or who's who. Luckily, the youngest daughter is like blonde, the other ones have a little bit of darker hair, so it's you could tell her apart, but it does get really really challenging. A couple of just quick facts that I learned about the actual story this is based on.
Okay, go ahead.
So in the original case, this actually happened. Ed and Lorraine Warren were actually kicked out of the house because they weren't able to help the family.
Mm,
They weren't able to like save the day. Another thing I learned is that in this house, this haunted house, that the Perrins is the name of the family.
yeah.
Um, 8 generations of families lived and died in the house. There were 2 suicides, a poisoning, rape and murder of an 11-year-old girl, 2 drownings, and 4 men froze to death. All of these things happened in this house, which is
Wow.
insane. And what I read is that this takes place in Rhode Island. The state of Rhode Island does not require home sellers to disclose histories of criminal activity. So you could buy this house and not know
Spouse
any of
not
that
know
stuff happened.
anything.
In
It's
other
messed
states, they
up.
have to tell you. They have to tell you there was a
Yeah.
murder here, someone died here, etc. In Rhode Island, they do not have to do that. So like you could move into this house where 8 different people died horrifically and not know it. Crazy.
I mean, whether or not, whatever you believe, whether you don't believe, I just feel like there's got to be like a negative feel when you walk
I'm
into
not
a,
living in a house where
a,
eight
a
people like died
location, like
brutally.
one
Yeah.
location where 8 people died. I'm sure you could stand on like any location and someone died there at some point
Right.
in time, but like to have it like so condensed in like, these 4 walls that all these people died in horrific manners, it just has to have like a negative vibe, negative energy. And just imagine living there, not knowing any of that. And then all of a sudden, like, you're just like watching like this movie or you read an internet article, you're like, what the fuck? Wait a minute. Like what happened here? Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I did not know that. And again, I think it kind of adds a lot to the lore of this particular film because a lot of it is believable and not saying like these the demon and all this stuff. I'm just saying, but a lot of these things of the fear that the family felt and the unexplained things. I mean, you could really imagine it, if a young family just moves in and then the kids start freaking out and then of course the dad's always away for a while and now mom freaks out a little bit and then he comes back and he's just heightened because of all these other things. I mean, like any little thing is going to be like a trigger and set everyone off and really just kind of keep escalating it. So it's like you could almost imagine this happening, especially with so many people in this house. And I think that's what a lot of these Conjuring films kind of work off of. There's always a bunch of people in a small space, and they're just kind of feeding off of each other, like the frenzy and the fear, and it's just like they're kind of driving themselves a little crazy. And I mean, it's believable. That part to me is 100% believable. Yeah, I would be scared too. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and you always get into these movies and like you're always like, why don't you just move? Why don't you just leave?
Yeah.
And a lot of times they explain it like, and in this one again, they're a family of seven that sunk all their money into this house, and it takes time to sell a house. It's not like they get to sell it and move, but like it's not like someone's gonna take them in. There's seven of you. Like it's not like grandma, like oh, I guess we're all coming to move into your house.
Nope.
Like they have nowhere to go, and you kind of get the feeling that they're moving here because like they couldn't afford to live in the city anymore or something like that. So you kind of like get the feeling that they're kind of stuck here and there's really nowhere to go. And even when they do leave, right, they do go to like a hotel at some point and that kind of doesn't really work out because the demons already kind of got their hooks in them. But yeah, you always watch these movies like, why don't you just like as soon as shit
I
like that
mean,
happens, like
did
I like to
did you
think
see
that
that
I'm
house
gone.
though? I'm not moving anywhere. There was a lake out in the back. You see the
But that house
tree?
was a
I'm
bit
not moving.
that was a fixer upper, man. That house needed a lot of work. It was a shithole.
Yeah, I know. They could have painted it a bit before they put like their blankets down and stuff like that. Like,
Location's great. Location's great,
yeah.
but again, you're Rhode Island, middle of nowhere, and that house looked like it was falling apart. Which I think they did a great job of building that set. It looked
It
like
looked it looked
it
old, it
looked
looked
scary.
creepy. It looked like
Yeah.
someone needed to dust Windex and vacuum that place. Like that's the one thing that bothers me. I'm like, oh my God, clean that wall. I'm like, please just like wipe it down. Wipe it down. Take two fucking seconds, wipe it down.
Oh,
But
the scene where they go into the basement for the first time, and there's a couple times. I think there's another time where they're in the closet and they break through a wall, and
yeah.
like I started feeling allergies just by all the
It's like
dust
the dust
and
wafting.
the spider
Like,
webs. I'm just yeah, I started like
yeah.
getting like
Like
uncomfortable because yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I can feel that. Yeah, like no one's dusted that room or that like the basement. Forget it. Oh, God, that had been like a nightmare. And the
I wouldn't
guy's
have gone
just
down there without 10 masks.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's poking around down there, moving shit. It's like, what are you crazy? I do want to say something though. So not knowing too much about like where the Warrens were as far as like their careers at this point of the film because you're saying this was like the first. I want to say when that investigation starts, there's like an insane amount of equipment in that house, and I'm gonna say that that must have cost like $50,000
Yeah.
worth of equipment in the house because we have to think of a time like 70s 80s. I mean, just think about like what electronics cost back then, how much a TV cost. In the 80s, a VCR was like $700, which is like $2,000,
Yeah.
nowadays. So like, what did these cameras cost? What have all these equipment cost that he was basically like rigging up in every single room? I just kind of curious, like how they kind of generated that much money to be able to acquire that much, or if you just need that much equipment so people take you seriously, you
Yeah, no,
know?
I think and if you watch these like in this one like the very opening scene they're giving a lecture in front of like a ton of people. So at
Mm,
this point they're kind of popular. They've been kind of doing this for a minute. maybe they've had a book or two that they've written, but they do these lectures and I'm sure find money other places. Later on, when you get to like the fourth one, they do a lecture and there's nobody
No
there.
one there.
Like
Yeah.
no one gives a shit anymore. No one
Contrast.
believes them. Like they probably had a couple of things that were like too sensationalized that were like, yeah, these people are full of shit. Probably had a lot of bullshit that happened in between that and then. So kind of I get the feeling that like here's where they're almost like the height of their popularity and maybe the second and third one they're still kind of really popular and then they completely fall off and are like you know but even their
On the
house
decline.
they have this big house that they live in. They have a house where they have a dedicated room to haunted shit.
Yeah,
Like
and they
who
have
has
a
just an
farm in
extra
the
room?
back. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like they
yeah.
have
And
all
I know
this
they're
stuff.
in like Connecticut or something, so I know it's like not like they're like in like
Not cheap. Yeah.
they're somewhere rural, but like it's can't be cheap. But yeah, so you get the feeling that they made like a bunch of money somehow, probably like and probably writing books and probably doing appearances and shit like that. I mean, the second one they go to England, so
Yeah.
they must like
They're
to fly to
traveling the
England to do
world.
this. Yeah, so they're doing a bunch. Like yeah, I get the feeling that this is popular like when they're pretty popular. I'm sure the next thing they do is probably going to be like a prequel showing like how they got started. I would imagine that's kind of like the
Mm,
next that's kind of where I think you would go because like by the end of the fourth one, they're old and kind of like you get the feeling that
yeah, you
they're like,
gotta
we're
ready
done.
to retire.
Um,
His heart problems, stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. So I get the feeling that they've been doing this for a minute and have accumulated equipment over the years just by doing this a lot. Also, again, I feel like he's he does the exorcism. Ed does the exorcism himself, which we're told like you're not supposed to because you need a priest to do that. He does it because he's just done so many of these before, and he kind of like is able to kind of like do it. I don't know, but all that said, yeah, I mean, I think it's a really well done haunted house slash exorcism movie. It's very effective. It's very scary if you do lock into it. Again, it's 2003, so you got to look at it through that lens. But look, I still really enjoy it. It's definitely my favorite of the 10 films in the Conjuring universe. The only one I really do like, and I kind of struggling with how to rate it because you know, I do really like it, but there's also a lot of things that like I could do without too. But I think it's well done. So what we do in the show is we rate every movie on a scale of 0 to 5 bloody knives. We play a little drinking game attached to that. So the number of bloody knives I give a movie are the number of seconds Jerry needs to drink for, and vice versa. I'm going to be generous. I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like it. I like it.
that's pretty good. Yeah, I think it's a good film. I do find it scary. If you're casually watching it, it could look silly at times. Like if you're not paying attention and you like kind of look up because you hear like some yelling, and that young girl Andrea is like being pulled around by her hair. You're either gonna find that terrifying or funny, depending on like the
It could be
mood you're.
silly. Yeah.
Yeah, like the mood you're in. But if you're like locked in, you can be like, "Oh my God, imagine seeing that and filming it and showing it to like a priest and like this is fucking crazy," you know. I watch this film a lot. I'm gonna say I don't always watch it to the end because I mean I compare it all the time. It's like a John Wick film, where the excitement and the action is at like a 10, but it gets boring because it's just too much. You gotta know when to pull back. And I do think, the exorcism final battle, it does get boring, even though so many things are happening. I feel like they could have cut like 20 minutes out of that easily, and that would have made this a much more manageable film. So because of that, it's not perfect
Yeah.
for me. And I really don't like all the animal violence that was in this film. Always
So
forget about it,
there's a
and
dog that gets killed, right? That's
there's a
what I
dog.
remember.
There's like a pigeon. It's just a couple things like
Yeah,
it's just
I definitely could have done
unnecessary.
without the dog. And I forgot about that too. And I was like,
Yeah, I
ah,
forget it.
shit.
I forget about it every time, but I think when I remember it, I just kind of fast forward past it. But it happens so early in the
At least you don't
film.
see it happen.
Yeah, like by the time you get to the end of the film, you kind of forgot that it happened because it was just like so long ago. So because of that, it's not going to be perfect for me. So I'm going to give this 4 bloody knives
Oh,
because I
shit.
do I do really like it. I really enjoy it. It's something I go back to all the time.
You know what actually hurts my rating on this is the sequels because they all are basically the same movie,
Same
right?
movie.
And it's like after you've seen those, it's like kind of like I kind of like this one a little bit less.
Mm,
But again, I'll stand by it. So 3.5 to
all right.
4. Let's cheers to that.
Cheers. Oh.
Oh,
So,
and
last time I mentioned that we were talking about the Conjuring that I met their nephew
Yeah.
and I bought a book
Oh shit. There it is.
from him. Yeah, and
Shadows of the Dark.
the guy's super cool. He's really nice. He signed
Oh, you
it
got
for
an
me.
autograph. Very cool.
Yeah, he's really nice guy. And let me tell you, when you read this, I mean, this is someone who really believes in what they're doing. I'm sure the media ripped these people up, this family up over and over again, frauds, things and that. I mean, when you're in it, and he came a little later on. Um, you could tell it was a lifestyle for these people and that these people were doing this because they felt like they were doing the right thing. There's probably easier ways they could have made money,
Yeah.
and the fame they got was mixed. And I don't know if that's the kind of fame you want. Like, I think if I was famous, I want everyone to be like, oh, I love that guy. He's amazing. I don't want like half the people to be like, nah, he's a fraud. He sucks. He's a liar. So I have to side with what I think, and I think these people truly believed in what they were doing, and they lived it. They lived it to the day they died.
Yeah, no, that's you always wonder about that, right? But like you said, like there's got to be other ways to make a buck versus like doing all of this shit. And like these people out of the rain, they went to like everything. Like they were anytime there was like some kind of haunting, like they were there. Like in the 60s or late 60s, early 70s, even the 80s, like they were involved in all. Like I mean, they were involved in like the Amityville kind of case, and they were definitely like making their presence known. Um, I think you don't do that unless it's something you're like super invested in, and really believe, right? I mean,
I mean, they literally did nothing else like their entire lives, and that's crazy. That's dedication, and yeah, I believe they kind of took the good with the bad with it, and they just felt like they were doing the right thing. So that's what I took away from that book that I read. It's really not really about them. It's mostly about the nephew and how he was trained and how he started going off on his own, things like that. But there was a lot of mention to them, and it just you felt like it was genuine. So
is
that's
he
that's what
still like doing like actively investigating
he
stuff, or is he kind of like
he
done?
he 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 will. But he's kind of if I was to guess, he's in his 60s right
Okay,
now. So he's mostly kind of like doing like the lecture and the tour route, the convention things, stuff like that, and talking about past cases and stuff
right.
like that. But I think he would if something piqued his interest. So I think he definitely would. So, but yeah, he looks. I'm guessing. I mean, he's got to be like mid 60s.
Yeah.
I
All
think it's
right.
a young man's game, Rich. So you
Yeah,
and I,
yeah.
you and I can't even. We can't even be
No.
getting involved with these ghosts and this shit, man.
Dude, there was a
Well,
lot of bending and like kind of running around and like climbing through like holes and shit. Like I had to, I like they get to the closet and they find this like secret like kind of passageway and I'm like, I ain't fucking
my
crawling in
back
there,
hurts,
man.
man. I can't do
Yeah. My
that.
health
No
insurance
way.
ain't that great. Like I'm not doing that shit.
No. All right. So listen, man, before we get into the next film, I have a drinking game here. But here's the thing. Here's the thing,
Okay.
Rich.
I'm listening.
I have two drinking games,
Oh,
and I'm gonna let you pick which
okay.
one do you want to play.
All
And
right.
it's gonna, and it could go either way. They're both gonna kind of net out to be the same. So one is, since we are talking about James Wan and he did the first two Conjuring films, we could go through a little bit of his catalog and do the old thumbs up, thumbs down
Okay.
game. That is option number one. Option number two is a quick little progressive sips trivia
Oh shit.
about
Okay.
The Conjuring. Not too many questions, but you know how progressive sips works. It adds up really fast. So I don't expect us to play both of them because that would be a considerable amount of drinking.
Yeah.
Uh, but if you would like to choose one, we could play that right now.
Okay, so I believe I'm a fan of a lot of the James Wan movies. I believe you are not. So I have a
Mm.
feeling if thumbs down means I drink, I'm gonna pass on that. So let's do the progressive sips challenge. Let's do
Okay,
that one.
okay. So I changed the rules just a little bit on the James Wan thumbs up, thumbs down, and maybe this will help you out. Uh, thumbs up, I drink. Thumbs up, you drink. But if you didn't see it or you don't remember, we both have to drink.
Okay, I bet you haven't seen a lot of them. So
Or we can
uh,
do progressive sips. It's up
let's
to you,
let's
man.
let's do progressive sips. Just a question, like how many James Wan movies are there?
I picked six, just
Okay,
to keep it under control. I picked
yeah.
six.
I always forget what he directed versus what he just like produced. But yeah, let's go with progressive sips just because I think that'll be more fun.
Okay, all right.
Um,
Let's get into that then. Hopefully a lot of these are softballs. If you're warm on the film, it's mostly about the first Conjuring. There's maybe one question about the fourth Conjuring,
okay.
but it'll be a minute before we get there. Okay, so are you ready to play Progressive
Yeah.
Sips Trivia? For anyone
Let
who doesn't remember, the number of the question is the number of sips that's on the line. So, question number one, there's only one sip. Question number two, there's two sips. Question number three, three, and so on. The thing is, if you get like one or two wrong, it adds up really, really fast. So all of a sudden you could do five sips in just two questions and it gets out of hand really fast. So that's Progressive Sips Trivia. It's been a minute since we played it, so I think it could be fun.
yeah, let's do it. Fuck it.
All
Got a
right,
full
question
glass.
number one. Yeah, let's do it. I have to make sure I'm pretty good here too. Maybe I'll add a little bit because things don't really go in
I'm
my
not overly
favor.
confident.
I feel like I grabbed some easy stuff here, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. Question number one. What was the game called that the kids played in the house?
I know it was a clapping game.
Hmm.
Two claps.
Incorrect. Hide and clap.
All right.
One sip. Okay, here we go. Moving on to number two for two sips on the line. What time did the clock stop working every single night in The Conjuring?
3:14.
Oh, so
Damn.
close. So close. Oh my God. I thought you nailed it.
Damn.
3:07.
Ah.
You're
Okay.
so
Two
close.
sips.
Two sips. That's three sips. You see what I'm talking about, people? Just like that.
So
Three
James
sips.
Wan, he thumbs up.
This one's going to get a little tougher for three sips, but they mention this multiple times in the first Conjuring, and they also actually flash it up on screen in Conjuring 4. So it does come up quite a bit. It was like a big thing that the Warrens did. So for three sips, what are the three stages of demonic possession?
Jesus. I don't even know one of them.
You know 'em. Think about it for a second.
I tell you what, give me the first one. Not that, just
All
for the
right.
hell of it.
I'll give you it's infestation.
Okay, yeah, I don't know them.
All right, damn. All right, sorry, man. I thought this was an easy one because they kept talking about it and it was up on the screen for a long time. So it's infestation, oppression, possession.
Yeah, fucking, I don't know. Too many
Oh
words.
man.
I don't read, you
Wow.
know that?
All right, Rich is already up to six sips, just like that, man. He needs to pull it back on
Ugh.
this one
All right.
to
Four
to
sips.
kind of even it out. Okay, so thinking about uh the Conjuring Last Rites.
Fuck.
What state did the haunting occur with the
Oh,
family with the mirror?
Pennsylvania.
Yep, you're right.
All right.
All right.
Woo.
Mhm.
All right. So 6-4.
6-4. All right. So I don't really have a last question. All I have is a
Fuck.
bonus question. And it sounds like you probably want to do it to try to even
I
up the
I I
score a
gotta. I
bit.
gotta.
But it's kind of just about like the universe.
Fuck it. Let's do
So
it.
are you willing to do it?
Is this four
For
sips?
this is for
No,
five
five
sips.
sips. 5 sips. Okay.
Yeah, so this could put me over or really throw you over.
Yeah, I don't like to lose, so let's do it.
Okay, all right. This is the bonus question. for 5 sips. All right. What was the name of the Conjuring 3?
The devil made me do it.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Woo!
Oh,
My winning streak continues.
oh my God.
9-6, baby.
Oh
The kid
man.
came back.
Mm, mm. Oh my God. Oh, that was a lot.
Did
Okay.
this
Oh.
did this did the second one have a name or was it just Conjuring 2? Just looking
Ooh,
for it.
I don't know. I didn't look that one up.
Yeah. Just Conjuring 2. Okay, cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, all right. So that was Progressive Sips
Wait, hold it. I
trivia.
feel like I'm breathing fire right now.
I, I still think even though I did 6 sips, I think the James Wan game would have been pretty brutal for me. I bet you haven't seen a lot of those movies.
Mm,
How many did you pick? You picked 6?
what, you want to play the James Wan game too?
We don't need to play it. I'm just curious as to what you got there. I don't want to drink anymore.
I got Saw,
Okay.
Dead Silence,
Okay.
Insidious, Insidious 2, The Conjuring 2, and Malignant.
Okay, yeah, I think that would have been bad. I think that would have gone horrible.
I never
Did you ever see Malignant, by the way?
I did last
And
year.
and
I don't think I liked it.
I actually did, and it was just because it was really different. It was not what I expected.
Yeah,
But I did like Malignant a
it was
lot.
not what I expected in a bad way, I think.
Okay.
So I
Yeah,
didn't
I
like
dug it.
that.
I dug it. It's definitely a very interesting horror movie, but I like *Malignant*.
I
*Dead
never
Silence*
saw
I've
Dead
seen, but
Silence. I
I don't
never,
remember it.
yeah.
I saw it when it came out, but I do not remember it. I know it's about the doll, like a haunted doll, which I usually like those movies. *Insidious 2*, seen, didn't like. *Conjuring 2*, did not like. *Conjuring 2*, again, I like for the first hour and then it just unravels. But like, let's talk about *Conjuring Last Rites*, which is the
Yeah.
newest one. Came out
Yeah.
this year. It is unfortunately the longest one of the
Oh my
franchise.
God.
It's 2 hours and 15 minutes, and it does feel like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Basically, Ed and Lorraine Warren are, older now. They're getting ready to retire. No one gives a shit about them. They just kind of want to retire, but like they end up taking on one last terrifying case of this family that is haunted in Pennsylvania. What you find out in this movie is that basically why the family is haunted is because they have this mirror that Ed and Lorraine Warren saw when they were encountering a haunting 30 years ago. And, instead of the mirror going to Ed and Lorraine Warren's house, which would make sense, it goes to this house in Pennsylvania to draw them there. In this one, a lot of the focus is on the family dynamic, specifically Ed and Lorraine's daughter, Judy, who is, I guess, mid-20s and about to be married. I will say her character was a bit of a bummer for me. I get why they kind of brought in someone new. I didn't really care for the actress, and I like Ed and Warren. Like I'm kind of into them,
Yeah.
and I felt like the daughter is kind of like too old to be making some of the choices that she's making. Like she's experiencing all this stuff that like is bad, like she's haunted. And instead of like her parents who are the experts telling them to go investigate this house, she decides to like go to Pennsylvania, even though she has no experience doing anything paranormal other than like she knows about it. So she goes there to save the day. And of course, Ed and Lorraine Warren have to go there to save her, which I thought was a little silly. I mean, again, maybe that's what happened in real life, doubtful. Um, but that kind of took me out of it. One thing I will say, there is a lot of drama with regards to the family, which I know a lot of people love this movie, and a lot of people love it for the Ed and Lorraine family story. For me, kind of bored the shit out of me. There's like a 20-minute long party scene at the Warrens' house where, they meet Judy's boyfriend for the first time. And again, the scene was almost 20 minutes. It was like really long and takes you out of the movie. And while all of these movies do like the first hour is like 30 minutes of the Warrens, 30 minutes of like the haunted house, there like wasn't enough of the haunted house stuff in this movie. And it escalates incredibly fast. Like something happens to like the little daughter where she gets spooked out. She tells the family no one listens because she's a little kid.
Of course.
Then like a day or so later, one of the other daughters like pukes up blood in like a really sick, awesome scene. And then the next time you see them, they're like full blown panic mode, like calling priests and freaking out, like all this terrible. They all think they're gonna die, and it's like, how to get from this woman like eating cereal, puking up glass to now our house is haunted and everything's completely fucked. Like they basically cut out probably a ton of shit that happened between now and then. And like while I'm okay speeding up the story, they cut it out so they could show this party at like Ed and Larry Warren's house, which I like that could have been 5 minutes. It didn't need to be 20 minutes of him like playing ping pong.
Ping pong.
Yeah, they could have showed like maybe one more haunted kind of scene to like because I'm like, how did they get so freaked out all of a sudden? Like, what's going on? Like, what
Yeah.
happened? Like, nothing really happened.
I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with a really good barbecue, dude. Watching someone grilling some
I
burgers
get
and
it.
some
I get
hot
it. Maybe that's
dogs,
why I'm mad.
cracking
Yeah.
some beers and stuff like that. Makes me want to go outside. It's freezing cold here. It's
I'm
like,
just jealous because I wasn't
yeah,
invited.
it's
Yeah.
like 20 degrees outside. I can't grill anything right now, but yeah, no, that was a little long as what I would call some Ishtar in there watching someone play ping pong, having a group of people watch someone play ping pong, all very, very strange. But I think it just kind of was to show you the kind of life that Ed and Lorraine kind of like fell into, where they have these parties and they do the little tour of the haunted room, and it's almost like Ed's always saying the same thing no matter who's there, like, all right, don't touch anything. And I think they're just kind of show you like things have slowed down so much for them since they're like semi-retired. Ed is clearly not well. He has a heart condition now, and he's not supposed to be doing any sort of investigation. So I think they were just trying to establish like this quieter, simpler life. Um, what I did like was the haunting in Pennsylvania. So I was hoping that they would show more of that again. This incredibly small house with what had to have been 8 people this time, not even like seven. They had 8 people cramped in this little house, and things start going off the rails really quick. One daughter's envisioning someone in the house. Dad is floating. The daughter is throwing up glass. I mean, this is some crazy, crazy stuff, and it was all good stuff. But I'm gonna say it not as scary. Like I didn't get like the chills. I didn't get those haunting, eerie mood moments, and I don't know if that was the music selection, the director selection. I don't know, but it kind of missed the mark for me in those areas because I know this guy did the last two, James Wan did the first two. Um, it definitely like I didn't like the third one at all, but I
Third one
really
was
should
awful. Yeah, I
I
did
should
not like third one.
revisit it. It was like a COVID watch for me. I was just home, staying up
Yeah.
like all hours of the night because there's nothing to do. And I think at 2 o'clock in the morning I decided to watch it. So probably not the best time to make a judgment on the film, but that's the only time I ever watched it because I found it like really boring. But this one, it's like it felt like it was missing that one important piece, which was, I guess, the mood piece. It's not a mood. Did I like a lot of things in it? Yes, I did. I really, just like you mentioned, dude, I did like the story of the Warrens. I did like the montage of Judy growing up. It just kind of like from a baby to growing up. It made you feel closer to these characters. And the fact that you know that these are real people, it kind of helps with it a little bit. And just to kind of show that progression from like where they started in the 60s and then going all the way into the 80s. I did find that interesting, but this is a haunted house movie. This is a, supernatural film. They needed more. They needed more of that, I think.
Yeah, and just like kind of a few notes on that. So again, I do appreciate that party scene for like what you said. It just shows that like
Yeah.
he's like the old dad now that just is kind of like bored and like has no idea what to do. But it was too long. Like and it
Mm.
happened at like a point in the movie where like shit was starting to get real and then it just like it's completely slows down and takes you to a crawl. If they would have cut that scene in like half, much better. It didn't need to be 20 minutes. It could have been five. Um, Speaking what you said, the music. this film was actually the first one scored by someone different. So there's a
Oh.
different person doing the
Mm.
music on this one. Um, I will agree, it is not as scary in a lot of parts, and it could have been. And like what they kind of do in this one is things move a little faster, or they don't give enough time to breathe. And I'll give an example of a scene that could have been really scary but wasn't. So the very first time this family encounters the ghost, it's like the little girl, and she's looking for her doll, which is
Oh
like this
yeah, yeah.
creepy doll that talks and like crawls. And she finds the doll in like a different room. And the whole house, like again, it's another shithole house that's like completely cluttered. So it just seems scary to begin with. So the little girl walks in and sees this doll, and she's like, "What is this doll doing in here?" And then the doll like slowly stands up and then like rises, and then behind it like you see like there's a demon like holding it. Now that scene could have been really scary, but what happens is like as soon as the doll starts like rising, which is like the scary part, it cuts right back to the little girl's face, so you don't
Yeah.
get to see that slow progression of it kind of like slowly rising. And then when you cut back, it's midair and there's like a scary quote unquote demon holding it for like 2 seconds like a jump scare. That could, if that was done like slower and like more intentional, it could have been really
Would have been
creepy.
terrifying,
It
yeah,
could have been
because
terrifying, but it
uh
wasn't because they did it so fast. It was like just like a throwaway scene. There's a lot of things in this movie that are like
it
that.
that shouldn't have been a throwaway scene because that we could easily get back to like a core fear when we were kids and
Yeah,
we had like
absolutely.
stuffed animals and figures in our room. Like, I had like I had like a tall Dracula doll in my room. It's probably like a foot, right? Every fucking night I thought that thing came to life and moved around and shit. That's what every, like, 4 or 5 year old thinks when they're scared of something that's in their room. So now when you see this doll moving on its own, that should really tap into those core fears of when you were like 4 years old and you're
Did I
like,
leave
oh my
that there?
God.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, like oh my God, this is exactly what I was hoping didn't happen and it's happening. But they did kind of ruin it by just cutting too quick to like trying to make it a jump scare, but not as effective as the jump scare of the demon on top of the closet in the first one, because the way they shot it and the way they cut it, it hit you at all those important moments to be like, what's that? Uh-oh, shit,
Yeah.
it has to go like that, has to go in that progression. And this didn't do it because just like you said, you're like figuring out like, oh, what's this? Oh, it's a demon. They skipped
Yeah.
all that middle, that like that build up that scares you, and you're absolutely right.
And it's interesting
I
because they had like patience to let other things drag on, but like they
but
didn't
not
have the
that,
patience to
yeah.
build the scares. And I'll give another example of like of what could have been like a really terrifying scene. So like when things finally pop off for this family where they've like had enough, one of the little girls is going downstairs and she's sitting in the dark for some reason, and she's watching a videotape of her birthday
Oh
when she
yeah,
got the
yeah.
mirror, and it's she's blowing out the candles, but like she didn't do it, so she wants to see like who blew out the candles. And she's rewatching the scene over and over again. And for me, like they do this a pretty like kind of trope in older 80s kind of horror movies where they'll like keep rewinding it, miss it, go back, rewind
Yeah.
it, like try to pause it at the right thing. But like it's always effective for me when they do that because like you're just like, wait, what? Oh, okay, all right, back. And then because I remember trying to do that kind
Try
of
to do
shit,
that. Yeah, you try to do it. You
it's
couldn't do
impossible to hit it just right,
it.
right? So there's this scene, she's sitting in the dark, she's doing this, and she finally gets it right, and she sees there's like some kind of ghost or something like that blowing out the candles. Terrifying. But then what happens is like there's like this giant man with an axe like running through
Oh,
the house. Like
awful.
it just looks stupid to me, and it like wasn't scary, and like it completely took me out of it. And again, what they do in these later Conjuring movies, like what's scary in haunted house movies, it's like not seeing the ghost. That's what's scary. Like shit moving on its own,
Yeah.
scary. As soon as you show me this like fucking demon thing, it looks stupid to me and it's
Well,
not
it's dumb.
scary.
And they have to get
Always
that
looks
right
dumb.
too. If they don't get it right, it's even worse. If they get it right, it's passable. But if they don't get it right, it's not scary at all. I thought that the guy with the axe, looked a little weird. I don't know if it was CGI or they just kind of put it there, but his movement kind of seemed off. It didn't seem right. And that
Yeah.
made it less scary because you didn't feel like he was really in the room. And I guess
It
they
seemed like
tried to,
animated, like stop
yeah,
motion.
like it didn't seem correct. And I think if they just did it with a person, it probably would have been a lot more scary because you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Is someone in their house? Is that a ghost? What is that? You know?
Yeah.
Um, a couple things I thought were scary. I thought it was and I mean, and this a lot of these things, like when you hit things from like the 80s, they just tap into like a lot of my memories. The one thing with Janet, who was the mother, and she was just walking around the house on that corded phone.
Yeah,
That
that was
reminds me of
good.
my mother.
Yeah.
And my mother would be on that goddamn phone for like 5, 6 hours a day. And everything she did was on that phone. She was cooking on that phone. She was cleaning on that phone. And I like how they captured that. And I thought that it was really, really scary when they pulled, on that cord and she's like starts yelling at the kids. Exactly what we used to do to my mother. Like my mother would walk around the corner, we'd pull on the cord. She'd be like, cut that out, because we were like little asshole kids. And it again, that kind of tapped into something that you could relate to. And then when it gets pulled out of her hands and she realized that there's nothing there, to me, that was a scary moment. That was probably one of the scarier moments of the film because it felt like real. It felt like they got everything right for that. They got the mood right. They got like the mannerisms right, the way a mom would be acting in like the mid 80s. So to me, that was really effective. So it was just kind of disappointing that they got a lot of things wrong. But I will say this, I did see it in the theaters. I think you saw it in the theaters too.
Yeah.
A lot of these things, they do play out a little bit better on the big screen and they are a little bit more scary on the big screen, and that's because of like the huge sound system in the theaters. And when things happen, usually they crank up the volume at those moments and that makes you jump. So you're not quite sure why you got scared. It was either what you were looking at or the sound. At home, you could turn it up, but it's not going to be at a movie theater level. So it just doesn't like kind of hit the same way. So if those things weren't like, if the scene is not scary, it's not going to be effective at all, you know?
I'll take you one step forward. At
Go ahead.
home, when that happens, all I'm thinking about is, oh my God, this is too loud. I gotta lower it. And then I'm looking for my remote and I'm completely taken out of the movie. And then I'm watching the movie. I'm like, wait, fuck, now I can't hear
Yeah, I can
anything.
hear
And now I gotta turn it.
that.
So like at home, I'm riding the remote, and like these kind of movies are not going to be riding the remote. Yeah, I mean, I think I enjoyed it more in the theater, I think, because I had no choice, but I'm sitting here. At home, I was getting so bored on the
Gotta
rewatch and
lock
a
into
lot of
this
this.
one too.
I
Yeah,
was
this is
getting
another
so
one you
bored.
have to lock in. That's why it
My
took
mind
me.
was wandering, and like in the theater, like I'm here, I got no choice. I got to
Yeah,
pay
yeah.
attention. At home, I was like, God, like let's just fucking get to it. And I will say that again, this same thing where the last 30, 40 minutes are, all the action. It was just like it was silly. Like they're all fighting with like a mirror for like 30 minutes, and it was
The
just kind of
mirror was
like,
spinning, which wasn't scary. What I
no,
will
it wasn't
say
scary. It looked stupid.
is that everyone got messed up in this one. It's like Ed was having a heart attack, Judy was hung, her boyfriend Tony, he was being crushed by the mirror. Like people were really genuinely getting messed up. Like this was a fight. That's the one thing I did appreciate it because a lot of times you don't feel like there's any danger. We say that all the time where it's like, yeah, I know everyone's going to be fine. Like a Scream movie. There's five people here, five people are walking out of this, and they're going to be absolutely fine. But I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. Is her boyfriend gonna make it? Like, everyone was like getting messed up from like every single angle with this mirror. But again, a little too long, and um, you just get tired of it. It doesn't matter what they show. They could have a spinning mirror, they could have someone flying across the room, they could have someone falling through the ceiling. Yeah, those are all exciting, great things. But like when you're watching that for 30 minutes straight and it's just one thing after another, you're like, okay. It's like you have to edit better. You have to cut out like 10, 15 minutes of like these final fights, like the big boss. You gotta
Yeah.
you gotta cut it out. I understand it's the high mark, it's the crescendo, it's the big moment, but it's like it's
Or
it's
have
it
some
goes
kind of
too
break
long.
in between.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna do this like 30-minute scene, and again, I'm saying 30 minutes, I don't know how long it was, maybe it was longer,
Like
of them,
45 in this one. I
yeah,
don't know. This movie
of
was
them
long.
doing this final like exorcism or whatever they're doing. It's like you could break it up. Like they could do it in parts, like one thing they do in the original Exorcist is they do like the exorcism, and at some point they
Mm,
stop and they go to
it's
like a
like I
different
need a
room and they
break. Yeah.
reset. I think they needed to do some shit like that in this movie too, like just to kind of break up the tension a little bit, so it's not just like the same fucking thing like over and over again.
Yeah, and I challenge anyone, it's like you think you got a great action scene. Okay, well, watch John Wick 3 and you tell me if that's not great action, but also tell me that it's exciting because you get very, very bored after like 10, 15 minutes of like knives and guns and explosions. It's all very, very exciting, but after a few minutes, you're like, I saw this already. You're just doing the same thing. There's nothing different, and it just gets monotonous, even though it's action. And I think people are confusing excitement and monotony. Like as
Yeah.
like if it's exciting if it makes your heart race for a second, but if it's the same, now you're just at that level. The excitement's not there anymore. Now you're just at a different level. So to make it more exciting, you either have to go up or like you said, you have to go down and break it and start all over again. But they just keep it the same. So it's just the excitement disappears really, really quickly. And it's a little bit of it's tiring, even though I did like this final fight better than in the first film. I like that one kind of annoyed me just for certain things when like I guess all these exorcists kind of like always bother me. It's like when they know someone is possessed and they like tie him to a chair and they try to do an exorcism. It's like this is supernatural. Why would rope hold
Yeah.
them like rope? That's what you like, same thing with like this. It's just I don't know. It's
Yeah, like
this was
earlier in the movie, the demons moving shit around, throwing
yeah.
shit. Like, why
It's
why
like
how come all of a sudden they can't do that
I
anymore?
can't like I tied you to a chair, so now you can't do anything. The rope
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
stopping you. Like
You're
it's
literally turning crosses upside
yeah,
down or you're doing all kinds
but
of shit, but
you
like,
can't do anything now because you're tied up to like a wooden chair. So I mean things like that bother me. So I thought this one was definitely a little bit more exciting, and I did like how they tied in that mirror to a mistake that they made. So they fucked up and they owned it. And that's great because it's like, you know what? This is supposed to be like real people. And just like you said, they got kicked out of that house because they really didn't help them. I like this that they kind of owned that they messed up one of their first cases and they didn't do the right thing. And that led to this issue, 20 something years later that was attacking their daughter now because of a mistake they made. So I like the way that it all kind of got tied in together. So I did like the final act a lot more in this one.
yeah, I personally just did it just because I felt it was like really kind of hokey. And like you said, like there's only so long you could be at a 10 for.
Yeah.
Um, and it just seemed this one was like really over the top. Like it was just too much. And I think again, it just comes down to like I didn't really care for the daughter character. I definitely didn't care for her boyfriend. He was just kind of like whatever, like not that interesting to me. So I don't know. By the time it got to the end point, I'm definitely kind of checked out at this point, and it like the spinning mirror looked kind of hokey and silly, but um, look again, these movies follow a formula. They're all basically the same movie, just done a little differently. So for me, like I'm kind of just like, if I've seen the first one, now I know I don't need to see the other ones. Like, there's nothing really special happens in any of them that, unfortunately, like even though they're like slightly different, they're really like the same thing.
Yeah, it's definitely very formula driven. second one, especially third one, I don't remember at all. So I
I've
can't
seen
really.
it like one and a half times. I like watched it the first time, didn't care for it because I thought it was kind of boring and kind of like just lame. Tried to watch it a second time and like bailed halfway through it. I was like, I just don't really want to watch this. So, you know, eh, maybe it's better than I remember, but I remember really thinking, I remember, here's what I think. The writing I felt like was really poor. And I feel like the writing in
Mm,
this one was pretty poor too. It just was kind of silly. And
not as buttoned up. Yeah.
I might be wrong, but I believe, oh no, in the third one, I think someone dies. In this, I think only like two people have died in all the Conjuring films. In this one, the priest dies, and in the third one, I think someone does die because I think the guy's on trial for murder or something like that.
Yeah, definitely the throwaway characters die, but also, the level of actor power that was in this one versus, say, like the first one. Obviously, you have Vera Farmiga, Patrick Wilson, but they also had Ron Livingston
Yeah,
and Lily Taylor. They had
yeah, yeah.
a young Joey King was in that one. So even like the kids were like, up and coming stars. I don't know if this really kind of had that star power. Like everyone did kind of feel like a drip, or maybe they just didn't develop them enough. Like, the Jack and Janet characters, the Spurls. I felt like we didn't know anything about them. They didn't develop them
They
enough.
weren't really on camera enough, really.
Yeah.
And this look, this movie wasn't really about them. It was about the Warrens. Like, so, unfortunately, like to me, the more interesting story is the Haunted House story, or maybe not the more interesting story, but what I care about is the Haunted House and ghosts more than I care
Oh,
about
yeah.
the Warrens family dynamic. Like that, I like how they have that in the movies. It's interesting, but I feel like to me, a third of it make that, a third of it the haunted house shit, and a third of it stopping the haunted house.
Better
But
better balance. No, I feel you with that. They definitely cut down on the hauntings to kind of give like an homage to the Warrens and let them go out with a real bang on this last one. Like, oh, look at these amazing people and all the people that they helped, and and
yeah,
what they went through, their trials and tribulations. I think they did that in this one, but again, we're here to watch a haunted house film or just a demonic possession. However you view these films, I like to think of them as a haunted house. It's just scarier that way. I get more into that than I could get into like demonic possessions. So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah. Just because the possession movies again, like if you've seen one like exorcism, you see them all.
yeah, I seen them all.
They're
Yeah.
all exactly the same. Like there's really no difference. Like they're, so it's like it's just another exorcism. It's like, okay, great. The other thing that about this movie that I really dislike, it only happens for like a few seconds. It's the giant Annabelle. I thought it looked so silly. It looks so
Yeah.
bad. They did it. It was
Yeah.
stupid. It was stupid.
It was dumb, and they always have to like kind of throw like the Annabelle out. That's clearly the headliner of this show is
It
the
didn't need
Annabelle.
it though. Like it doesn't need it. Like
I
at
don't
this
feel like
point.
it. I don't feel like it needed it, and I feel like Annabelle could stand on its own. Conjuring could stand on its own. They always try to throw those nods in. They always try to throw in the nods like Amityville and stuff like that. They always try to like tag off another film. I think these films can stand alone if they focus more on that. Uh, but yeah, I'm gonna say, so I was in the theater and it was a bad day just in my life. I was having a very stressful day, but I enjoyed the film, but I don't feel like I was as locked in as I could have been that day that I saw it in the theater. So I was really, really looking forward to watching this at home and really just kind of be like, do I still feel the same way watching at home as I felt in the theater? And in the theater, I was with my wife when I watched it this week, which you know how long I dragged it out because I didn't want to spend those 2 hours and 15 minutes watching this. I watched it by myself, and it just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
I think just the mood of the theater, the big screen being like encompassed by the sound, having someone next to me who was absolutely terrified if
Yeah.
like a door
Same. Yeah.
opens, like if a door opens, my wife is like just like freaking out. Um, not even showing anything. I'm like, it's just someone at the door, I'm like, there's nothing happening. Like, it's just someone
Yeah.
there. Just relax. But someone who's so on edge on that makes you more on edge. I think watching it on my own, I didn't get that same feeling. So I definitely don't feel the same way about this film on the rewatch as I remember when I saw it in the theaters. And I'm definitely got to downgrade it a little bit from when I probably first graded it. And that's why I don't like doing that. You know, I hate doing that. I got to watch something a few times before I really kind of get into it. So I think I overshot on the first time. So
I think especially to seeing something in the theater versus watching it at home, it's like almost always better in the theater, right? And not only did you just like spend money, so you're trying to justify that I
yeah,
spent the money to go
yeah,
see it.
yeah.
So yeah, I loved it. I loved it. If you go with somebody and they loved it and you didn't, and you kind of start liking it a little more
Yeah,
because
a
you're like, oh
little bit
yeah,
more. Yeah.
But then when you go home and you try to watch it by yourself, you're just like,
It's just
what the
like this is
fuck?
kind of whack, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So my favorite scene, I think, in the theater was probably when she was like throwing up that glass.
Same.
That was so brutal and so
Yeah,
gory, and I
agreed.
was like, oh my God, made me like kind of like squeamish. I think this time my favorite scene is when they're all at the restaurant and Lorraine orders the linguine with clams because like that's the favorite thing I order like when I go to like a restaurant. So I think that was like my new favorite part of the film, and that's saying a lot because that's disappointing that I went from like a good scare scene to like, oh, I
Oh
like when she orders
shit.
the linguine, man. I could go for some linguine
You
right
know, I'm
now.
starting to I'm thinking about, I haven't eaten dinner yet, so like maybe
I
that's
mean
what I
that
do tonight.
linguine with clams, and Judy gets the lasagna, and I'm like, okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are we talking about here,
Yeah,
man?
now we're talking
I
like
need to
yeah.
get to an Italian restaurant. It's like that like Maniac when he goes to the restaurant, right?
hmm
And we
Oh
get
shit,
caught
what was
up.
the name of the restaurant? I forgot now.
Oh my God, I think there was a trivia
It
question.
was, and I got it right. I got it right.
And what? Wait, oh, Clams Casino.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's so funny how stupid things like that stay with you. And I think like it was just that mundane. Everyone here that ever listened to the show knows I love those mundane, just
Yeah.
super normal
I can
human
identify with it. Yeah.
moments. Yeah, I think I like that the best. And I'm gonna say my least favorite part of the film was the spinning mirror because it just looked really, really bad on a small screen versus when I saw it on the larger screen, which I don't know if it was scary, but it
hmm
just looked better. But on my smaller screen, I was like, it's kind of lame looking.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely I wouldn't say I loved it in the theater, but I was like, okay, it's a Conjuring film, and I think it's a well done Conjuring film versus like two and three, I feel like aren't well done. Watching it at home, like here, I'm just not gonna watch it again. Like I'm just gonna watch the first one. Like
Yeah,
I
it's just
don't need to if they're all the same movie, like I don't like I'm not gonna watch one through four. And as part of this, like I did rewatch the second one, and then I was gonna rewatch the third one. I was just like, I don't need to do that. So okay, so watching it at home, like theater bias out of the way, 0 to 5 bloody knives, what are you gonna give it?
still, yeah, I said a lot about it and I critiqued it a lot. There was some criticism. I liked it though. You know, I wouldn't say it's a bad film. It's not a great film. It's not a bad film. It's a good, decent film. And for a good, decent film, I have to give three bloody knives.
3. Oh wow, okay, that's a pretty good rating.
It's not a bad movie. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah,
there were
it's
some
not
bad
bad.
parts.
Yeah.
It's just not a bad movie though. I did like a lot of things in it. I did like I said, I did like the Warren story. I really like the end where they kind of like weave in all like those real like news stories and those real photographs, and they kind of show you like what really happens versus the story. And to me, that just brings like this level of authenticity that most horror films aren't going to get because they're not really based on anything. You know, it's just a story. So I appreciate this a little bit more because of that. And yeah, I think it was a good story, but they messed up on the execution.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be as fair. It's not terrible. It's what if you like the Conjuring movies, it's a good Conjuring movie. I'm not a huge fan. I'm giving it a 2.
Wow, man.
Yeah, yeah. So let's do that.
Oof.
3 and 2. I'm gonna finish this drink on this
Yeah.
one.
Mhm.
All right, so winner of the Progressive Sips drinking trivia something or other again.
Uh,
You can follow us on Instagram at Horrorheads Podcast, email us horrorheadspodcast at gmail.com. Yeah, that's it. That's the Conjuring franchise. So yeah, we're getting into the holidays, so probably only like an episode or two left before we finish out this season. And I'm sure we'll be focused on some holiday horror films coming soon. But that's it. I'm probably gonna pour another drink and order some linguine with clam sauce and be done with it.
I mean, it's mind-boggling. Here we are. We're at the end of season two. Who knows how we got here?
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy. Just want to thank everyone for tuning in and listening to us kind of drunk ramble on about a lot of these films. I know a lot of you get upset with us. I know a lot of you agree with us, but listen, we love it all because that's why we watch films. Just because, if we all felt the same way, there'd be nothing to talk about. So I do like it when someone's like, man, that was fucked up what you said about that movie. It's like sinners rule. I'm like, no, it doesn't. But it's like, but that's why we're here. We're here to talk about it. So, again, guys, if you thought this was a great film or you love The Conjuring, tell us that we're wrong, man. Let us know. This is it. We're all up for debate. If you think we're right, send us some bourbon.
Yeah. All right. On that note, have a great night, everybody. Peace.
Night.